Well, it's here, Alex Winley joining me, Miami Freedom Park. Finally, a situation that we all can smile about. Took a while, more than 6 hours of debate in the city commission today, and we have tired eyes, we have tired understanding of
Tired
everything
minds.
that we've been through with a lot of drama, a lot of negotiation. But by a 4-1 vote, Miami Freedom Park can advance into the next process, into the next phase of this. There's going to be zoning issues, little like tiny little things that are nuanced here and there. So not a done deal yet, but it's a done deal, right? Like there's just going to be like these little done uh tiny zoning issues that they're going to have to deal with. A lot to get to in it, but just first off, when you heard, as the Dade representative of us, when you heard that announcement, what was your first feeling?
It honestly felt super surreal. When this was first announced years ago, I genuinely never thought that, a project of this scale would get announced. And, it's just crazy how the ownership were able to just persevere through everything. I think when Billy Corbin released that video last week, I think we all thought, oh, okay, this is, he made some compelling points. Maybe the commissioners will be swayed a bit, but and with the 6 hour debate we had this this afternoon late into the night, they brought up some concerns, and all of them were valid, and it even got to the point where they didn't have all the votes and had to go back for another hour to discuss that. And eventually, they got Moss, sort of, he, not to cave in, but he gave up some concessions to say, okay, look, we want what's going to be best for the city.
Let's just
And
start there because I
yeah,
give him a ton of credit. He came in and he said, "What do you need to cross this finish line? What do I need to do to make this happen?" A lot of what you said with what Billy Corbin was bringing up, with what David Sampson was bringing up, he said, "You know what? Forget it. Like, what do you guys need to make this deal finally happen?" And I give him a lot of credit for that.
yeah, and it was impressive to see. The speech that Moss made was super compelling. He even convinced me, even though I didn't really need convincing. There was a lot of points in there that I never thought about before. There was this one bit about it being next to the Miami International Airport, and if other bidders were to come in to say wanted to build a shopping mall or whatnot, they only have a certain amount of height for them to be able to do that, whether it was an apartment complex or whatnot. So it was smart of him to include that, because I was sitting there saying, it makes sense. And even looking at the renderings compared to the first batch of them, they're completely scaled down. The stadium's a bit lower to the ground, a bit more circular, and it's almost as if the stadium's sort of in the ground and it goes up instead of building on top of the ground that's already there. I don't know. I'm not an architect, but the renderings are interesting, and I just thought Moss made a really compelling speech, and I honestly think that's what swayed a couple of just mainly Ken Russell. Really,
Yeah, Ken
I
Russell
know
was the
that was,
deciding vote. We
yeah,
knew
he
heading
was,
in,
and
right?
yeah, no, he was valid to he had concerns for his district, and it did get heated because it's a long day, and yeah, people were tired, and all of the commissioners, they got what they needed for their district, but Ken Russell wasn't completely satisfied, and he's
Well,
fair play
let's
to
just
him
talk
to.
about that. At one point,
Yeah,
Ken Russell and Alex Diaz de la Padilla did get into it that
hmm
caused the big recess of the day. Um, I thought that I thought that Russell was there, so I was a little surprised when he had
yeah, same.
what like I thought that what he had asked for, Moss had said to him, "Hey, like I'm okay with this. Like I don't like
Yeah,
it, but I'm okay with it." And I thought Ken Russell was there, so when he said, "Well, then this is going to be 3-2," I was like, "Whoa!" and then the outburst from Alex Diaz de la Portilla happened. Like the
That was that hunger frustration. We've been here for 5 hours. Let's get this over with.
right,
I'll
right.
outburst.
So I was surprised by that. What I would say to it is that I'm glad that the process worked. Okay, so let's go through some of the details here, right? So the
Hmm.
rent was increased to 4.3 million, right, per year. Um, they're going to be responsible for some of the land reclamation. We've heard this word, this term used a lot. What that basically means is the sewage that needs to be cleaned up from underneath Melreese is going to be shared, the cost of what that's going to be. Right. On top of that, they're going to be able to build retail. They're going to be able to build the office park. They're going to be able to build the parking that we all talked about that Moss really wanted to do. So I think that that's really, really good. There's $20 million, and this was Ken Russell's big thing, that is
Yeah.
going to be more equitably shared. Diaz de la Portilla wanted it to be mostly going to his district because his district is where Mel Reese
Yeah.
is. So Russell wanted it to be more equitably shared throughout the city. That seems to be a hurdle that we crossed. The other thing that I thought that was very good was Christine King wanting the for Overtown to that property that they still own to be
Yeah. I think that was, yeah,
used
super important.
right, to be used more equitably. The other thing that Ken Russell got from it was an 18 a pledge to raise to it'll be a progressive inclusion, but a raise to an $18 minimum wage for citizen and a prioritization to hire residents of Miami proper, citizens of Miami. And there will be others from Broward, from Palm Beach. We all know that. We all live here. We all understand that. But
Yeah.
these inclusions in the process, I think, were really nice acquisitions to the negotiations as it went in. I thought that Moss made a very strong opening statement, but I could see where some of the commissioners had certain issues that they wanted to raise that they were hoping for negotiation with. And I think that they did a very good job of raising those concerns, addressing those concerns, and getting out of it what they wanted. And I think that ultimately, I mean, like, even like Reyes, who ultimately was the lone dissenting vote on this, got
Yeah.
some stuff out of this. So
Hmm.
while he didn't all get all the way there, I still think that there were bits and pieces of this that was like a puzzle being put together that ultimately you and I can disagree whether or not this is a good deal for the city of Miami, right? I ultimately am not a fan of stadium deals. I'm just not one. But I think that the deal that they got today was better than the deal that when we were talking about this earlier was the deal that was being offered. And I give Moss and his lawyers, who were really impressive, a
Yeah. Yeah.
lot.
They were up there negotiating the minutia of the deal, and
I
it
thought that they
genuinely
were
was impressive.
fantastic. I, I give them a lot of credit for coming to the table in good faith and saying, okay, this is what we're willing to go to. If you want to push this, you're willing to, but don't go past this. And I give the commissioners the credit for saying, okay, let's go to the edge and we'll pass this. And so I think that both parties negotiated in good faith, and I think that that's ultimately why it passed.
Yeah, and it's fair play to them. You know, the commissioners, even like you said, Reyes, who was a no, he was sitting there saying, "Okay, well, I would like to see this, this, this." I don't know. I don't know what would have had to happen for him to be a yes, but even the fact that he was
Oh,
out
he had
there,
pledged that he was going to
or
be a no. So
yeah,
he
from the
had said
beginning.
publicly
So
he
it
was
was,
going to be a no. So
yeah. So it was the Ken Russell, the hinge vote, and yeah, he pushed to get what his district needed, and fair play to them and Moss's lawyers. They did a really good job. I actually would say that the entire process was very,
it's how the
not
system's
wholesome.
supposed to work.
Yeah,
It's like
it was
kind of
very
how I
fair on
feel.
both sides.
Yeah.
Yeah, both sides got their points in. The lawyers did, the commissioners did, and it was very, fair play to them. Honestly, it was an earnest conversation by both sides. So,
So
yeah, no
now the hope
complaints.
is, yeah, now the hope is to get this done by the 2026 World Cup. That
Hmm.
Miami has a bid in at Hard Rock that they'll hope to get. It's probably between Miami and Orlando. So, do you think, in your opinion, that this vote advancing with what MLS has been pushing, with what
Mm.
Phil Neville has been pushing, and Chris Henderson and Moss and Beckham have been pushing. Do you think that this makes a World Cup bid more likely? In my opinion, it does. I think that this moves the needle to get them over the head over that on Orlando because I think it's one or the other.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. I had no disrespect to Orlando, but Miami is just. It's just far more of a pool. Like like
You're gonna get
there's Formula
Orlando
One
people in your
coming.
mentions after this, Alan.
It's all right. It's all right. But Miami is just an event town. You've got Formula One coming. There's the Miami Open, at the same place, Hard Rock Stadium. I don't know if Miami do get the World Cup bid. I don't know if it'll be at Miami Freeman Park, but I
I
think it'll
don't think
probably
so.
end
I
up
think it
being
has
at
to
Hard
be at
Rock.
Hard Rock. The bid has already
Yeah,
been submitted,
it's
so I
just
think it would have to be
it's
at Hard
bigger
Rock.
for that.
Yeah.
But I will say Miami Freedom Park will probably have like how any World Cup there's always like in town activities for people who are coming here. And it's right by the airport. They could stop by and go to Miami Freedom Park. Just there'll be like pickup soccer games and whatnot. So I think it'll be a cool area, like a hub for the Miami as a host city. But I think the games will be at Hard Rock. But yeah, absolutely. I think even then, CONCACAF's headquarters, I believe they're in Miami. So I think Miami will get it, even if Miami Freedom Park didn't get passed. But
That's actually a really
yeah,
good
it
point.
definitely.
That's actually a really good point. CONCACAF headquarters are in downtown Miami,
Yeah.
uh, and so I think that they will have reason to want to push for Miami to happen. Hard Rock, obviously, in Gardens, a little different, but and a little far away from the CONCACAF main headquarters. But I think that that's a good shout. Do you have anything else you want to do or say on this historic day for Inter Miami? Finally, they're going to end up. We don't have to call them Inter Fort Lauderdale or hear any of the jokes anymore or any of the nonsense that anybody's going to say. They got the deal that they wanted. The city got the deal that it wanted, and Inter Miami is going to be playing in Miami. I mean, that's a huge deal. That's amazing. It's not
Yeah.
good for me because it's now like an hour and a
Oh,
half drive, but like where
it's
it's
all
a
right.
20-minute drive right now. But like I'm so excited for the club that I'm so excited that the process worked, that they got a deal negotiated. It really looked like an appropriate deal that they got together.
Yeah, and um I think that I don't know, like
Sorry,
I feel
sorry
like
for that.
I
That
don't
was
know.
actually the the city government website.
Oh, was it really? Oh, I was like, oh, my phone. I was like, I don't remember opening that, but yeah, it was. But yeah, I think I don't know. It just feels really surreal, and I know there's going to be talk about UN possibly ground sharing with the stadium as well. So we'll see where that goes. I don't know. I don't know. It'll be interesting, but there's still a lot of hoops to go. They have to, there's going to be zoning laws they have to go through, and of course they got to the incinerator ash under that, and plus they the traffic studies and whatnot, and yeah, but it's going to
I am.
be.
I will say that
I'm looking forward to the construction camera,
my
seeing it
big
every
thing
day.
is still that I didn't like was, but I liked and I'll put a bow on it with this. The thing that I enjoyed a lot about it was at a moment Joe Carroyo, who has you know was I'm not even gonna go there, but he wanted to push for the highest valuation possible and then a proportion of Miami paying off of that. What
Mm,
Ken Russell negotiated was to take the valuation for it to be clean land already and the valuation for it to be the possibility for the land reclamation and to merge those together to create an average on it so that it's not the highest bid possible. and then what the city will do will be negotiate what they're going to pay on that, which I think
Yeah.
is is fair. I don't like it. I don't think that that's good for the city, but ultimately compromise is about give and take. Compromise,
Yeah.
you and I have a disagreement. We need to come to an understanding about what is fair and what isn't. And I think that that was what Ken Russell did in that moment to negotiate that, and what Moss's lawyers did in that moment was
Yeah. Yeah.
really phenomenal to be able to negotiate that in order to facilitate this deal happening.
Yeah, and yeah, I think the entire thing was super impressive. And like, I'm scrolling through Twitter now. Now there's a tweet from Don Garber, congratulating Moss and the organization. So this is a definitely a big deal for not only Miami but for MLS. Miami is a team that they really wanted to be in the league. They really want them to be successful. So, for Moss to get this done, it just it pushes other MLS teams that don't have permanent stadium deals, and I'll call them out: Chicago, New England. There are a couple others as well that it's time to get on the ball. And I know, look at this process with Miami. It's been so difficult for them. It's not easy, but it just shows that if you push hard enough and you get a proper city deal for the city, anything can happen. And look, yeah, this has been nearly since 2014 when the team was initially announced. Has been nearly 10 years, honestly, for this deal to happen. So I'm just, yeah, it's just surreal, and it's only gonna boost the club morale even more. Not only are they going through a really good win streak right now, and they're playing New England at the weekend. They have this to look, the construction and this
We'll
this
get to that.
building
We'll
of it.
get to that in a
Yeah.
moment. But I wanted to close with a really nice gesture that our producer Andres even just messaged us on. That
Mm.
was from Miami FC, who Inter Miami obviously is rivals with, obviously competes with for fans, for interest throughout Dade County. Who Inter Miami just beat in the U.S. Open Cup for the first time as they played. They said, we are, quote, we are excited for Inter Miami CF on this positive step toward having a stadium in Miami. We look forward to continuing to build our on field rivalry and to playing all future Miami Clásicos for the Miami football family in the 305. I thought that that was a really, you know, um, just a nice gesture that we can have this building of soccer in South Florida. The one question that I have for you as the Dade resident person, and Austin is the Broward guy and I'm the Palm Beach guy, is how do you not forget about Broward and Palm Beach now, or do you
Yeah.
just forget about Broward and Palm
Yeah, I think the really cool thing is that Miami Inter's headquarters are still going to be in Fort Lauderdale. They're still going to train up there. Once the first team comes to Miami, Moss did mention that they are interested in the NWSL side. Maybe they will play up there in Fort Lauderdale. There is going to be Inter Miami 2 still playing up there in Fort Lauderdale. And that's also a good question you had, Ian. I think they just gotta continue to reach out. Honestly, it's just a club thing of they just gotta reach out. It's not difficult. The Heat also, it's not difficult. You see it with other Miami sports franchises. They reach out to the Broward and Palm Beach people, and it also starts with having a proper TV deal so they can watch the team. That's a start. And
I've been
it,
an
it's
advocate
not
for that
difficult.
in the West Palm market for years.
Hmm.
I've been
Hmm.
crying and begging and screaming and stomping my feet on that. So yeah,
Yeah, and it's important. It's still, even though it's Inter Miami, it's still it's a South Florida team, and anyone can go and support them. Like they're playing Fort Lauderdale now, and yeah, and I think as the club grows, they're still in their third year. They're heading to their fourth year next season. They'll only get better at that, and it'll be interesting to see how they combine the three counties as far as that goes. So yeah, it'll be
so,
interesting to see, but it's definitely
yeah.
something they can improve on.
So that's the future. Let's talk the present. Heading up to New England, heading up to Foxborough, and a game against the Rebs that you know, Phil talked about it earlier in the week where he had mentioned that the Rebs are one of the best teams, that they were the Supporter Shield champions last year. Like, this is a good team. They haven't been off to the best start so far. Just like blank slate on the road at New England. Where do you assess it before we even get into the weeds on this?
Mm, difficult. New England still have quality players, and it's an away game, which it's not advantageous for any team. But yeah, it'll be difficult because I don't know. I think Miami they're doing well, but there's still some suspect things that they can work on. And like I said, New England can hurt them. If they're not clean enough, or if Miami gets sloppy. I don't want to go into too much detail because this is a stadium centered episode video. So yeah, I think I don't know. It's MLS. Anyone can beat anybody, but New England they're in a bad spot and they're going to be looking to get a result. And they do have a couple of their players returning. I read that Gustavo Bo and Matt Turner are close to returning after injury, but I don't know. I don't know if they'll play. Maybe they'll come off the bench or something. But yeah, they're almost to full strength, and that'll be a huge boost for Bruce Arena and them. So yeah, Miami just need to be careful. New England, like I said, they can hurt you. Look at the last game; they did manage to score two goals, and one of them I believe was a penalty. But Campana, he got that hat trick and all was well.
Campana
But
had the hat trick against New England, right?
yeah,
So
yeah, and they're gonna be man marking him very carefully because especially a guy like Andrew Farrell, he was absolutely torched by Leo on one of his goals when they played at Drive Pink. So yeah, it'll be an interesting matchup, interesting tactical battle. Yeah, I'm intrigued to see how it goes, but it'll definitely be a difficult match for Miami. Any away game is so.
yeah, and Phil had mentioned earlier this week Carlos Gil and Sebastian Leggett that that they have these weapons that they can throw at you. And Inter Miami's trying to like rotate back a healthy squad. Where do you see those possibilities that they need to focus on? Maybe any of those guys that they need to bring back a little quicker than they were hoping to. Gregory comes back, and so they'll have that option. Jean Mota talked about liking to be higher, but maybe he needs to be back a little more this week. McVeigh and Damian Lowe. Damian Lowe, who was in the crowd today at the stadium deal, maybe their partnership hasn't really worked as well. So guys like Jovan Jones, who are still a little further away, he's maybe like 4 or 5 weeks away. But a Kieran Gibbs and Noah Allen, like guys like that, do you consider that? Do you throw that in your mind, or am I just postulating here?
No, you can consider that, especially maybe a guy like Gibbs. Maybe you start him. I know he's still coming off of injury, but might as well. Or do you stick with McVeigh at left back? He's been doing pretty decent and gives that defensive solidity, but he's not as attacking. Maybe you throw on Gibbs. New England's not doing too well. Maybe this is a game where Kieran can come on and get some minutes. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. There's a lot of guys who are performing well in the field, and it'll be difficult to drop them. But that's why Phil Neville is the coach and not me. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting. Personally, I'd like to see Bryce Duke start. Every time he's come off the
Oh,
bench,
I like that.
he's done well. Yeah, he's done well for Miami, and this is a game where they could use them. The Revs are still very, they play that diamond in the midfield, so they're gonna try to control that central area, and having a snappy tackler like Bryson there could help with some of the passing triangles that the Revs will try to do. So yeah, just interesting little personnel battles, but I don't know. I think it'll be the same starting 11.
And a happy 18th birthday to Noah Allen, by the way.
Yeah,
That he finally got that. That was exciting for him. But also,
yeah.
let's just close with the Inter Miami 2 game that's going to happen as well. They're going to travel with the first team, which I think is a very exciting opportunity.
That's a
And we,
cool thing.
yeah, I mean, for a lot of these kids or a lot of these first year players in professional soccer, I think is a great opportunity. And Darren Powell, the head coach of Inter Miami 2, talked about that as much earlier this week. I think is a great thing for the continued progress that you had been talking about within this club. But New England, too, is a good team. I mean, Inter Miami 2 is currently second in the table. New England, too, is third in the table. They're right there with each other. So, having all of this pomp and circumstance that they're going to be exposed to, do you like it or do you not like it? Is it too distracting? How do you focus this early on in the year?
No, it'll be a good thing. You know, the more experience the B team or Inter Miami CF2, the B team, yes, the more experience they get, it'll only be better for their development. I think last season was a perfect example. I think no, it was Noah Allen, Harvey Neville, and George Acosta. They traveled with the team to New England during the last game of the season just to get some experience. So this full squad, full organization trip up there to New England will be super interesting, and it'll just give the younger players a taste of what it's like to be a top level professional. You see the older guys go about it, and you try to model your professional you know life after guys like Yedlin, Gregory Mata. So yeah, it'll be a cool thing to see, and it'll after today. I think it'll be a really cool organization bonding moment, just to cap off a really good, last 2 weeks for the entire organization with the win streak and, Campana's breakout and now the stadium deal and they got a real cool chance to cap off April with back-to-back wins with the first team and the B team. So yeah, they have a really cool opportunity to just close out the month on a high note and just sort of enjoy it. Inter Miami, they've kind of come a long way, and they still have a long ways to go. But just yeah, it's just been a cool couple of weeks for the organization, and having something like this where both squads get to travel to the same location will be really interesting to see.
I think it was Austin who said it that it's now 5 wins in a row for Inter Miami, 4 wins on the field, and now with the stadium deal done, one more off the field as well. So for Austin, our producer Andres, she is Alex Winley. I am Ian Hess. Please make sure you like the Heron Outlet on Twitter, on Instagram. Rate, subscribe on our YouTube channel, comment on the videos. We look and rate on Alex. You had mentioned like Spotify, Apple, all the places that you can
Yeah.
get us. You can get us everywhere. So make sure you do that, and we look forward to this weekend and keeping the good times rolling because this sure as heck does feel a lot better now that all of this has been decided.